Nothing quite like an Indian team selection in today's times, especially when it comes to T20I cricket. We've had multiple theories, arguments, opinions, debates in the build up to the Asia Cup squad announcement. We at least have the answers now. But do they shock us, surprise us? What is it that the Indian team's actually thinking as we tend to focus on the road to the T20 World Cup in about 6 months' time? I've got Dustin and George to try and make sense of it, and we will pose perhaps our own opinions over here, which we'll try and challenge with each other and see what is it that the Indian team have done today by firstly announcing Shubman Gill's return to the team as vice captain, by excluding Shreyas Iyer, not just a 15 but a 15 plus 5 reserves, 20% squad as well. And we've heard from the captain and the chief selector on what their thinking was. But guys, if I have to ask the two of you, what's the biggest surprise for you, if at all, after today's squad announcement? What will you say, Dustin?
I'm not massively surprised by anything. I expected one of Gill or Jaiswal to return to the squad always, and it's Gill, so that's not a big surprise to me. Shreyas Iyer not being there in the squad is also not a surprise because I think once you've decided on Tilak Varma, there's only space for one of Tilak and Shreyas in the 15. Him not being in the reserves is a little surprising, yes, because you would think he would at least be there, but maybe the idea is that he'll play in some of the India A games against Australia A and we'll explore his red ball batting. The only other surprise for me is that India have not picked a proper third all-rounder behind Hardik and Axar. I think it leaves them in a position now where to balance the combination, you are either going to be batting Harshit Rana at number 8 or you are going to be depending on Shivam Dubey and Abhishek Sharma to make up your sixth bowler. So I was expecting either Washington Sundar or maybe a left field pick like a Vipraj Nikam or somebody else in that role of third all rounder, which India have not picked. So that would be the one slight surprise for me.
Okay, so you're saying that the lack of a genuine number eight. I'll come to that. George?
You guys have gone with three surprises already, so there isn't too many left. But yeah, I was pretty surprised that Harshit Rana got into the squad, and I'm waiting to see how he features in India's combination plans. Uh, I haven't seen any proven, uh, you know, evidence of his batting ability yet. So if he's going to slot in at 8, I think that's still a fairly long tail. So yeah, otherwise, picking a T20 spot for India right now is pretty hard because people like Yashasvi Jaiswal and Shreyas Iyer, you'd think they'd walk into most T20 teams around the world, but they aren't in India. So it's a tough job, and you can't complain too much with the final 15 that they've gone.
Okay, I want to try and get into what India are trying to look at here from this Asia Cup, as well as what their template is. Now, we thought there was one particular template when you had Abhishek and Samson as your openers, which took care of your keeper, and that allowed for a certain flexibility in the type of low middle order and middle order you had. Now we've got Gill, who we can all, I think, safely assume is going to open the batting and is going to be vice captain. And what questions that immediately presents to pick an
So,
11 out of this?
so that obviously means that Samson is being looked at right now as a backup opener or someone who can slot in at number 3 if a backup for that position is needed. They're not looking at him as a first choice opener because Abhishek
Yeah.
Sharma is a left-hander and he's been amazingly explosive at the top. And Gill will slot in to provide that stability, but he also has had an IPL where he scored 650 runs at 155 strike rate. So yeah, he's not slow either.
And I pointed this out when we were doing preview content that I think casting Gill as or calling him an anchor is just means you're not properly watching cricket, to be honest.
Yeah.
If you look at the IPL he actually in the first 3 or 4 games of the IPL was striking at almost 180 in the power play. He then made a choice because of the composition of his side, Gujarat Titans, which was weak in the middle order and had very strong bowling. He made a choice to bat slightly slower in the power play and then build along with Sai Sudarshan. That was strategy. Gill has the game to bat at 170, 180
Yeah.
in the power play. He has the game to go fast, even faster than that in the middle overs. And the depth, he's somebody who I think can bat in all gears. I think depending on the team strategy, he can do whatever role they want him to. I don't think he's someone who's limited in any way.
Agreed entirely. Here's my only problem though with this is that India have prioritized the need for Gill, not only in a 15 at the 11, but it's not like there was such a big downgrade as an opening option where you could have actually allowed for Samson to continue there to keep and therefore had a little more flexibility that you enjoyed with how your middle order stacks up. What Gill opening means
I
is that Jitesh Sharma is your first keeper.
No,
So
but I
that's
fully
where I
disagree
only
with that. I don't think it's that at all. I think that Jitesh Sharma is objectively a better finisher than Rinku Singh. And so you can even look at it the other way that, okay, we wanted to get Jitesh into the side, and that means there's space for Gill at the top. I think Jitesh Sharma had a much better IPL than Rinku Singh or Shivam Dubey. So again, this side has actually not been picked based on the IPL. It's been picked based on what has happened before in T20 internationals. But if you want
right.
to talk about current form, Jitesh Sharma is the best option as a finisher for India on current form. So I don't think it's like
No,
Jitesh
no.
is getting the side because of Gill.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm looking at the consistency in the thought process for every player, or whether that's different yardsticks for different players. If you're saying it's gone as per what's happened before the IPL, fair enough. That's where Gill, who I think Agarkar and Surya said that he was not opening only because him and Jaiswal were not available. That's why Abhishek and Samson opened. On the other hand, Jitesh Sharma, if you're looking at a middle order keeper, you're looking at someone who did well in the IPL in that role, and that is Jitesh. But that doesn't apply to Shreyas Iyer. So if you and me had a heated debate, Dustin, on Shreyas versus Tilak, I still stand strongly with Tilak as a player above Shreyas, and you the other way around. So my only challenge here is, could they have allowed? I'm almost certain that they're not going to have Samson in the 11 in the Asia Cup, right? And I'm okay with that. I'm just looking at the consistency, whether they've applied it, whether it was needed at this stage. I can see Gill coming into this team at some point, but right now doing it, I'm a little sort of 50-50 because the Abhishek Samson pair was working. That's my only argument over there. I have a feeling that looking at Shreyas Iyer and where he is in his career right now, it's perhaps a greater. I don't think he's out of the plans, but I don't think naming him in the reserves means I should be read into too much. I feel if either Surya or Tilak get injured, I would not be surprised if Shreyas Iyer comes in ahead of Riyan Parag. That's my gut. I could be wrong because they might be thinking Riyan Parag, but for me, Surya and Tilak were the two slots Shreyas Iyer was competing with, no other. And if you can't put him into the 11, there's no point having him in the 15. You're looking at different skill sets and reserves. That's how I'd like to think they're thinking. If they're thinking that he's not part of the plan at all and Parag is ahead of him, that for me is problematic as well. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think all the spots that, to be honest, we're discussing are not where India's World Cup or Asia Cup will be made or broken. Because
Okay.
Gill, Jaiswal, Tilak versus Shreyas, Jitesh against somebody else, Samson. These are all great options. The difference is actually quite minimal. I think that still the bigger question really is going to be how India find the balance
Balance.
in this
Yeah.
combination. What are your sixth bowling options if because okay you've gone with Axar and Hardik obviously will be there, but now the question is, are you going to bat Harshit Rana at number 8? As George pointed out, that's a big risk. We haven't seen that much of Harshit's batting to know that he's a viable option at number 8. If he does come good in that role, it could be a massive positive for India because that's actually probably the only way you can get both Kuldeep and Varun in there. But if that's not the plan, then that means you are playing Hardik Pandya, Axar Patel as your fourth and fifth bowlers, and then you are banking on Shivam Dubey and Abhishek Sharma to come in if somebody gets hit out of the attack. Now, Abhishek Sharma is a left-arm spinner exactly like Axar Patel. Shivam Dubey has not bowled a lot in IPL or T20I cricket, and he is he is a downgrade on Hardik Pandya. I mean, he's a similar type of bowler, but not as good. Let's be honest. Let's say you're playing against a side stacked with lefties, right? And Axar Patel gets hit out of the attack by the lefties. You're not going to now bring on Abhishek Sharma as your left arm spinner against those
I
left handers. You have to
I
then
know where
bowl
you're
Shivam
thinking.
Dubey 2 or 3 overs, which is a big risk. I mean, I think that I know Washington doesn't make his IPL team, but at least he's a different type of bowler and off spinner. So in the scenario I mentioned, if Axar gets hit out of the attack, Washington can then be an off spinner who bowls. I really like the idea of trying out a wrist spinner and Vipraj Nikam, but I still think that's the biggest thing that India need to figure out. Their
Okay, wait,
balance.
wait, wait. So there's a lot that you've said in that. First thing you're saying is the balance. One thing we learned from India's T20 World Cup win in 2024 is that they need batting till late, and that is some form of legitimate batting till late. Not, I don't think Harshit Rana qualifies as batting till late. Harshit Rana
So
is a
why is he?
handy.
So then I just ask you, Ronak, why has
Why
he
is
been named
Rashid not in
ahead
the
of
squad?
Prasidh Krishna if they're not taking
Very
his
good
batting
point.
into account?
Very good point. The only logic I can see over here is that they feel Harshit Rana is uh, is a more versatile phase bowler than Prasidh Krishna. Prasidh Krishna's role will largely be in the middle overs. He
I
may
think
or
it's
may
his
not.
batting, Ronak. I mean, maybe
It
you
could
need to
be.
ask the
I'm
selectors,
not
but I
saying
think
no,
it's
but
his batting.
I have no doubt. Okay, maybe they've gone for that if they had to go for that extra seamer, and there was
Or
it in.
Siraj is nowhere in the mix either. We haven't
Yeah, so
mentioned Siraj.
I have, but I still don't believe he's going to be batting at eight, unless that's India. Like, okay, we don't need to worry about what our team in the World Cup is going to be. We're playing UAE, Oman, with due respect to them. We don't need the batting till late. Let's just go with giving these guys some game time. It might, I don't think it's just for the Asia Cup, but I can see them batting till seven with Harshit at eight in the Asia Cup to see how it goes. I just do not see Harshit Rana as a viable number eight. For me,
So
the fact
so
that they
we
picked him, I'll just complete this by saying, for me, Dubey, Hardik, and Axar play every game. It's as simple as that. And Jitesh Sharma as well, which has your batting till late. Harshit Rana is competing with Arshdeep and Bumrah for. I don't think Bumrah is going to play every game in the Asia Cup. Also, if he does, okay, great.
No, I also think that's a possible 11 Ronak is mentioning. As I mentioned, my concern then is that if either Hardik or Akshar gets hit out of the attack, or if one of the frontline bowlers get hit out of the attack, you're in trouble because I don't see Shivam Dube and Abhishek Sharma as dynamic bowlers who can come fill a gap when someone else has got hit out of the attack. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah. So
imagine if Hardik gets hit out of the attack, what makes you think that Shivam
I'm just
Dube
saying.
would have more
I think this
success?
is. I don't think this is how teams think or how captains or coaches think that if Dubey is worse than Hardik as a bowler, if Hardik has a bad day, I can't
yeah.
even go to Dubey. I don't think that's how teams think, and I don't
Why
think they've
shouldn't
ever.
they think like that?
I don't think they've ever thought like that. Otherwise,
Yeah, no, they try and
the
sneak an
concept of Pandya
over of
wouldn't exist
Dubai
in
in,
the game.
when the matchups are right. As in they'll try
Yeah,
and
yeah,
get
yeah.
an
I
over
mean,
to win. Yeah.
the concept of a part-time bowler doesn't exist if you
Yeah.
already berate the player before you've given him the ball. There could be a case where suddenly it's two right-handers are at the crease and the ball's turning away, and you bowled an over of Axar and you want another over of Abhishek, so you don't need an over of a
Yeah.
seamer who may or may not be needed. So, and Abhishek Sharma gives you his bowling is growing. He can give you the carom ball, which very few left-arm spinners can give you. I'm not saying he's going to change the world with it. And as far as Dubey goes, it's an unfortunate result of the impact player that he doesn't need to bowl in the IPL. But he is your best batting all rounder who can bowl seam up along with Nitish Reddy. There's a time
So
where India didn't have anybody who could make that squad. You have to grow him, and the Asia Cup is the perfect time for it. He's not done too badly against England, so I see no problem in them, and I don't think it's having multiple options is also the captain's challenge them to use them smartly.
so assuming that Bumrah and Arshdeep play,
Yeah,
as your two seamers, and therefore you have only space for one of Varun Chakravarti or Kuldeep Yadav, which is a
yeah,
shame really. At the Champions Trophy they were so effective playing together in the UAE. Who would you pick?
yeah. So you're talking about Varun versus Kuldeep.
Kuldeep. Yeah.
Yeah, so in my view, this could also come down to a certain. If we find conditions in the UAE like we saw during the Champions Trophy, even though that was in Feb and this is in August, it's absolutely dry, and there's a case for both these two spinners. I can see them playing only Bumrah and Hardik Pandya takes the new ball. I can see them playing with two seamers only. And I know you don't rate Shivam
With
Dube.
Dubey bowling that third
If you need him,
medium pace option if
because
needed. Yeah.
Chakravarti is a capable late overs bowler as well, should he be needed. If you can bowl him a
Yeah.
17th and 18th, and or perhaps as late as that. So I don't rule it out. I think here India has just done one thing which I think is very interesting. They have not looked at number eight as a key position in isolation and said we need somebody for that role, even if he's
Which
not
they
in the
should
pecking
have.
order. Yeah, that's what I'm sort of looking at. When you brought up Vipraj Nikam, I thought that's a damn good left field selection for someone who plays a very unique, specific role. But India have decided to back players that are improving if they're multi-skilled, and they're okay with any form of any combination of bowlers because they've got enough wicket-taking ability in it. That's how I see their template.
Yeah, I think
And
with
as far as
but it's
to answer your question, Varun and Kuldeep, it doesn't really matter.
yeah, I mean that
I
could be
no idea.
opposition specific. They could just look at matchups and decide who has the better matchups.
Rinku Singh is an interesting one, and I'm trying to understand when they said Rinku is our reserve batter, what are they really sort of looking at here? Because Dubey plays a different role than Rinku does. Rinku, if anything, only plays the role Jitesh Sharma does. Which,
Yeah.
if I have
So
to just, yeah, George.
I think he only gets a look in if they bring in Samson at
Yes.
at the top as the keeper. Only then does he come in to the lower middle order as a finisher.
But just on the
Yeah.
Rinku pick again, that's one where they've gone more with what they've picked in the past rather than IPL, and that's another spot where they haven't then looked at maybe somebody who can bowl a little bit for that spot as well. Because you had Riyan Parag, who at least does give you something. I had suggested again left field picks like Namandhir, who at least do bowl a little bit of off spin. So with Rinku, I mean, it's tough to leave Rinku out because he's been pretty good when he's played for India, and times he's been excellent. But it's just that he is again a one skill player.
Quick one, Jaiswal or Gill? Could they have gone Jaiswal?
I always preferred Gill, but I
Difficult.
think it's
Yeah,
yeah, it's so close that like
yeah.
who can argue? I mean, they're both such good players. It wouldn't have. I don't think it would have made a big difference which one they went with.
Small things, just the left-right combination and the vice captaincy leadership. Things would have tilted it in Gill's favor.
Okay, I think that's pretty much it. These are our thoughts. We've literally thought aloud along with all of you after hearing this. So please don't. I mean, you're going to hammer us anyway for our opinions, but try and take it with a pinch of salt. Send us your thoughts as well. And like we've said many times before, I think it's worth repeating. You can pick 3 or 4 15-man squads for India's T20I side, and they could all end up winning tournaments. That's just the riches that they have. So it doesn't mean anybody's right or wrong here, but this is the sense we're trying to make of India's Asia Cup squad. George, Dustin, thank you very much.